I'd like to welcome you to the Tuesday, June 29th workshop council meeting for Verona Borough. Let's stand and say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, you have your agenda. in front of
Yes,
you?
ma'am, I do.
All right, roll call, please. Mr. Mayor,
Dr. Carpenter,
I'm present.
Mr. Matlin,
Present.
Mr. Forback. Present. Ms. Loalbo. Ms. Reddick Showalter.
Present.
I messed that one up. Ms. Credenza,
Present.
Mr. Suchovich,
I'm here.
and I'm here too.
Okay, I don't believe we have any registered comments from the public. Are there any urgent additional agenda items from anyone on the council tonight?
Yes,
add.
I have one, the children's at North Avenue.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
All right.
I'd like to add proactive code enforcement.
I'm sorry, what?
This is the portion where we're adding it. And then the items I'd like to add proactive code enforcement.
Oh,
Joint authorization.
okay. Okay. Anyone else? All right. We will now take comments from the public on agenda items only. Please approach the podium or raise your virtual hand and clearly state your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Do we have any hands up?
No.
Okay, good. Moving right along. This is great. So I'll start. We're going to have an update on the borough secretary search. We have done 2 interviewing sessions with a total of 5 candidates. We are in the process of figuring out who we want to bring along to the second round of interviews. We plan to have that second round on July 8th. And so we are moving along and hoping to make a decision probably by workshop of July. The next thing I want to remind everybody of is that there's going to be a zoning hearing tomorrow in this room at 7:30 regarding an appeal for 443 North's zoning permit. So the next thing I have on my agenda, and I apologize because I meant to make copies for everybody and I forgot. If I get a break, I could run back there and make a few copies, but sorry about that. It was online though, but anyway, I should have made copies. I wrote here policy for public comment, and I realized that last time things went on a little long, and there was some back and forth that probably I should have handled a little better, but this is only my 12th meeting as president, and I'm still learning as I'm going along. And I realized that I just wanted to remind people about our protocol for public comment. We're asking people to please keep their comments to 3 minutes, absolutely as much as possible. If it goes to 3.5 minutes, you know, I'm not gonna stop someone, but 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, we want to have time for everybody to speak. So we're asking people to respect the 3-minute limit. If someone is asking a question and there's a quick answer to the question, then let's just answer it here. If it's a more complicated issue, then the council will need time to discuss and figure out what to do. So, you know, give us your contact information. We'll get back with you, or someone can call the office and follow up. And we're also asking, or I'd like to ask, and I'd like anybody on council to comment on these ideas that I'm putting out for how we do public comment, to please refrain from doing any back and forth with other people in the audience. You have a comment, you have one comment, and then if you want to comment again, we would hope that it would be on a different issue. So I've been probably too lax at following the protocol that's been established for a while. And so I wanted to bring that up, but I also wanted to ask for input from council about what you think about what I've said, anything you want to add, anything, any thoughts that you have on this? Anything?
I assume this is gonna be in writing and that we can all look at or share. or is it
Yeah,
really just a-
I was bringing it up tonight for
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah.
And, you know,
I think it's very important that everybody here and public, everybody knows what the rules of the game are and it's very clear. So there's no confusion on things. I think it's a great idea to have that up front.
You start going back and forth, and that can create an issue too.
right.
You know, little heated feelings, hurt
Mhm.
feelings, you know, that can be not a good thing either.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So don't want to do that. Maybe what I'll do is, with Lisa's help, is we'll write up a summary of all this. If you guys have any other ideas, additions that you want us to add, let us know with an email. And then when I remember to print the agenda, we'll put that with it. So everybody will have it every time they come to a meeting, they can refer to the policy.
Yeah, and it might be a good idea to also announce that at the beginning of every meeting so people get used to it too.
Okay. Yep. Let me write that down so I don't forget. Yeah, for the
I
next,
agree. We all get lax too, you know, we just keep on,
yeah.
you know, look, everybody has a right to speak their mind. But
Mhm.
It just keeps, if it gets to be repetition, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got the point, or they got our point.
Yes. Okay. So that is, I guess we're done with discussing that. Everybody's good? Okay.
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Thanks. In regards to parking on Arch Street, that keeps coming up as an issue. While I was away, something happened down there that needed to be taken care of immediately. And I did have a conversation with Mr. Pepper. It went very well. And he agreed to help us figure out some alternatives to Arch Street. And I don't know if there's anything more on that currently.
Related to that,
Okay.
President, I did want to let everyone know, in case you didn't see my email, that Dave Matlin provided a contact with the local technical assistance program. And they are going to send one of their experts who can help local governments with issues such as parking. And he'll be here on Friday, July 9th. If any members of council or staff would like to join us, starting at 9 a.m. at the Borough Building, we're going to do a walkthrough of some of the problem spots.
Okay. Great. What's the name of the company or whatever?
The Local Technical Assistance Program, or LTAP.
Local.
So it's administered through PennDOT, but they
Okay.
use I believe it's an engineering or planning consultant to administer that program. Every state, I think, has an LTAP
Okay.
through their Department of Transportation. And so Patrick, I forget his,
Right.
yeah, he's led a few webinars. I mentioned him to Council and Trish before, and Trish followed up, and he's really good, and knowledgeable, and I think it'll be a good opportunity to get some help there.
Okay, so that's July 9th?
That's a Friday, July 9th, right?
Yes.
And what time did you say?
9 o'clock at the Borough Building.
Bring coffee.
Okay, it's only
I didn't get a chance to respond to your email, but the only other thing I don't know if you're looking for more things for him to look at. I don't know how much time he'll have. If there is time, it may be worth having him check out Center just for the speeding issues and pedestrian issues. I know that that's been a concern between the Boulevard and maybe First Street or even Second. Again, I don't know if he has time. If he does, great, but thanks for setting that up.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Trish. Appreciate it.
Madam President, also on the parking, there were 3 parking spots made right next to
Mhm.
our garage there. too.
Yes. Yeah, the Public Works got right on that, like
Yes, they did.
1 or 2 days later. It was very quick.
Great.
Yeah, very nice.
Do
Yeah.
you know if there's signage up stating that parking is,
Um,
because I know there were no parking signs before.
they took those down.
Okay. And I would just, like, if it were me, I would be worried, like, hey, is this parking for the Public Works guys or is this public parking?
Yeah, there probably should be a sign that says for Riverbank Park use.
Yeah.
You know, it's not for like the neighbors to park their car for a week. It would
Yeah.
be preferable, yeah. So let's talk about that and talk about getting a sign made. Let me do that signage. Okay, great ideas, everybody. Thank you. Speaking about the Department of Public Works, I just want to give a big shout out to AJ and John. And working in conjunction with the Garden Club, which I would also like to thank very much for handling what could have been a fiasco with our baskets. And the Garden Club were very creative in figuring out a way to handle that. And they did a lot of work. They went and bought their own flowers. Apparently they arrived infected with mites and they were half dead and they were broken. So they had to get all new dirt, and thank you to Recupero Landscaping for donating some dirt. And they replanted 26 planters completely from the bottom up. And but what this caused also was that the Department of Public Works put them up, then had to take them down, and then had to put them back up again. So that produced a lot of extra work for them, and they did it, and it was very hot. And I just wanted to thank both the Garden Club and the Department of Public Works and Recupero Landscaping for all working together to make a positive situation with our baskets. So I wanted to say that. And I just have a couple of little announcements here. Excuse me. Oh, there we go. There's a woman who lives at on First Street, and she is requesting to close off a portion of the alley behind her house for a couple of hours on the evening of July 17th, which is a Saturday. So she lives on First near Tennis Way and Maple. Tennis Way is between her and Maple.
By the school.
Yeah, and I believe that people can get to their back either from coming, depending on if they're on the one side, come the one side, they're on the other side, come on the other side from Walnut. And so she I guess, you know, she wants to have a party or whatever on
Reception.
July 17th. A reception, okay. So the alley will be open on either end for anybody who needs to get to the back of their house for parking. And I have this memo here. I'm not actually sure who wrote it. But it was here in the office and I thought I'd bring it up. Does anybody have any objection from council about that?
I think that what we talked about the last time with the street closing, that I know, Dave, you and I talked about this, and maybe one of the committees that we have now should go up and maybe look at it to see if it's feasible, you know, it's not going to interfere with any traffic.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, I mean, there's not,
You
Where's she
know what
want
I'm
to
trying
close it off from?
Tennis, okay, this is up, Athletic Street, Marathon, Maple, Tennis Way. It's soon as you, from First Street, make the
The
left.
first alley.
Yeah, the first alley.
off of
Yeah.
Walnut.
She wants to close Tennis Way off.
Yeah.
No, just a little portion of it that's right behind her house, not the whole alley.
We're gonna close,
You should close.
I would suggest if we're gonna close a portion of that little alley off.
Mhm.
So if somebody decides to drive down there,
Right,
they're gonna have to back up.
yeah.
I would just suggest closing off at each end.
It's not very long.
And
Yeah,
if somebody needs to get in and out of their garage or driveway, they can move the barricade,
right,
you know?
okay,
And I'm okay with that if they notify the people in the area.
right, notify their neighbors.
They should, yeah,
Yeah.
that
Who
should be
is
a
it?
stipulation.
Who is
Um,
it, Nancy?
well, here, pass this down to Ray. I didn't really wanna.
Are they asking for barricades provided by
Yeah,
the
we'll
borough?
have to-
She didn't in that note. I don't know.
Well, see, that's
Who
where
wrote the
your thing
note?
would come in, your paperwork, to fill
Yeah.
out what do you need.
This is first. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, neither do I.
Do we need to decide on it tonight? I
When
have
is,
to date.
It's July 17th. So the only other meeting we have is on July 13th. And I think she'd probably like to know before that. I would say that between the mayor and yourself and Ray, you guys can figure something out that'll work, right?
Yeah, I mean,
It's pretty open and closed.
I think the biggest thing, as long as the neighbors are all notified,
Mhm.
especially if we're closing. I mean, I understand Ray's concern about only closing part of it and then people get
Mhm.
stuck.
Yeah,
Um,
putting a sign on the barricade too that says, for local residents.
But I think like he says, it should be up to the person that would like to close that to go to each and every neighbor on that block and tell them what they're gonna do. It'll
I
be
don't know.
closed.
If we're gonna close it, we should be announcing it somehow. I
Well-
think we should be announcing it. If we're deciding as a council to say, yeah, you can close the street, that just keeps us in a better situation.
And then we know that everyone's been notified.
Right, exactly.
yeah.
We get a letter, send it out, maybe have Annette drop it off at each residence when
Yeah,
she's
we can
doing.
do that too. It's a
you
good
know?
idea, yeah.
I was gonna bring this up with the street closure permit process that I was, in my
All
agenda
right.
item. So,
Can
but
we-
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
one way or another, they need to be notified.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
But I think we should be responsible enough to say, okay, to try to alleviate another situation like out here, okay, we went to every property, or we let put a letter or a note in everybody's door or
mhm.
something.
Yeah, I agree,
The-
okay.
The only thing with that though is we don't have a lot of details about what she's doing and whether, like, if someone asks, can I get through to my house, even though the barricades are there?
Is there a
I don't
time?
know if she's gonna have anything blocking this, blocking the alley, so.
Find out from her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if she could give us more details so that we
There's a phone
know,
number there,
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
somebody can call and
Yeah.
get them notifications. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah, the times
Yeah.
and,
I mean, it's very vague.
yeah.
It is.
If I'm a neighbor and the alley's getting closed, I just want to know the details,
Yeah, I agree.
So,
Okay,
And then that can drop letters off,
okay. All right. So, given all of that, we can follow up with her and finalize our approval. I mean, sort of, let's say it's okay and take into consideration all the suggestions from tonight and follow through. Okay.
do we need to make a motion? No?
My understanding is you only need to make a motion when you're spending money, pretty much. Right, Lisa? Is that right?
There's a few other things.
Yeah.
But
But,
I don't think, this is more like falls into policy.
Yeah.
okay.
And,
I mean, I guess it would be if we had some disagreements up here with it, but it seems like we're all for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. The office got this, this opportunity to be listed in the International League of Cities. I don't know if we've ever been in it before, but I thought I would just bring it up. The deal is it costs $250. And I was thinking that we don't need to be listed in the International League of Cities for $250. Does anybody feel differently?
do we know what benefits that gives
consistent.
us? Yeah. What is that? We could probably look
The
into it further. They have a website.
Lake Worth, Florida.
We're not a city anyways. I mean, it seems like it's geared to large cities, it says, doesn't it?
I don't see the value of it.
No, none of that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if it was free, that'd be different.
Well, I just wonder what do we get for $250? You know, are there,
Training or.
yeah, is there some kind of perk that would be beneficial to the borough? Or
Networking.
The perk is that we get to be listed in the directory.
if that's it, then.
I was contacted by an architect in, I believe it was Wisconsin, that the expressway was coming through and they should, gave me a design, they just wanted us to see in Verona that, and I had to type them back stating that we're in Pennsylvania.
Oh,
Yeah, because there's like, I think 3 or 4 Veronas in the United States,
Verona, New Jersey for sure.
in Tennessee,
Yeah,
Wisconsin.
yeah. Well, I can find out if there's anything more, but would you say that unless there's something really earth shattering that we would say no to that?
I would say.
Okay. All right.
We can look up their, I'm just trying to find it, but we can look up their website and see what.
Nancy,
Yes. Oh,
the woman that requested that, I just sent her a message. She's on her way down, so you can ask her a question.
really?
Great.
Was sent from Pennsylvania?
No. The
For
the alley
Oh,
closure.
oh.
Yep.
Okay,
Thanks, Susan.
thanks.
Yeah, because I thought, well, we know it's her wedding reception.
Okay. All right, sounds good. All right, so next thing I have, okay, I did this, I did this, I did this. I just wanted to let everybody know, we got this letter in the office, and I think there's been stuff online, but I'm just gonna read this. This letter is being provided to alert you of the pending road closure and detour of Halton Road between Eastern Avenue and Franklin Avenue. The posted detour will begin at midnight on July 6th and remain in place through midnight, August 9th. So that's a little over a month. Work activity will predominantly be completed during normal working hours, and some activities will require night work as well. The intersection to Eastern Avenue will be maintained and/or flagged during construction. Concerns or questions should be addressed to George Manning at the number indicated above. So this isn't Verona, but it will affect us in our travels around the Twin Boroughs area. So I wanted people to know that there was that road closure happening. Yeah.
Nancy, can I see that?
Mhm.
Right.
So just reading that so that people are aware, and we can start doing a little more sharing whatever Oakmont might put out on social media so that people realize it's gonna be a problem
Yeah,
for
we
me to.
travel that every day of our business.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that. I think that's everything I have, except I'm calling a very short exec session when the meeting is done. For personnel. Okay. Next is the mayor.
Real quick, I would like to, and I know I didn't announce it, the Garden Club, they had a beautiful day and a lot of people came out and they did a very fine job
On the tour.
on the garden, the Garden Club tour that they had. And I just want to thank everyone that was involved. It was a nice time. The next thing is the towing contract. I had told the board I was approached by a couple other companies, to give a proposal. And since then, I have talked to, are you Angel?
Yeah.
Okay, it's Angel Coons, she's the owner
Hi.
of Dawn Coons. Angel and I had talked, we did go over a few things. The other companies, I didn't get no proposals from them. The one company is from out of the area. As far as traffic, it would take them a while to get here. And the other company, I don't think they have the equipment that Kuhn does. And Kuhn is, on the spot all the time. We've had them for a long time. And I had to bring it up to the board because whether you're a council person or the mayor, when somebody wants to do something or put a bid or a proposal, you have to honor that. My police department has no problems with the towing company. They're pretty prompt and like I said, we have gone over the contract. We made a few adjustments on the towing of the borough vehicles. And there was basically that was it. Everything else is pretty straightforward for that. And they do have the large equipment, and so does one other company, but they're in Lawrenceville and over in Springdale. But the other company, I guess he would call somebody out, which is also in Springdale, if we needed a truck that could handle over 35,000 pounds, for towing capacy. But it would be up to the board. I would suggest highly that we stick with Dawn Kuhn Towing. But like I said, the board votes.
So,
On that, as far as the fire department, and we've used Coons a lot of times too, and they've been very, very receptive to our needs. Johnny on the spot, getting the job done.
Right.
I
okay,
would suggest keeping them too.
And we're not paying any.
Right, we don't pay anything. They are giving something back. If one of our vehicles breaks down and anything over 3/4 ton, they would tow a discount, which means a heavier tow truck, within the borough. The same way with the police car would be free, tow to the garage. And I believe the last time, and it was an insurance thing, last time we used them was when the street department, I believe it was in the late 90s when they rolled the truck over on ice on Union Street.
one
Remember
question, one question. If it's a 3/4 ton and they need to tow it somewhere other than within the borough limits, how much would it be?
It's per basis. Usually it's, it depends on what we're towing. If it's a garbage truck, a dump truck, normal tows within limits are 205 to Penn Hills and Verona. We put them out for like anywhere from 100 to 150. We tow the ambulance for Penn Hills, or Diane's ambulance, out to Tom Henry does all their service out there, and I usually do a flat rate for her of like $150.
And that would be the discounted price to the community.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
that sounds
thank
pretty
you.
reasonable. Yeah. So I'll just, unless there's any other questions or concerns, I'll take a motion to adopt the contract with Coons Towing.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or concerns?
I'm sorry, who seconded?
Mike?
Mike,
Okay.
My only concern, I talked to the mayor about this earlier. Do we, I mean, I haven't seen a copy of the contract, so
I have it.
I don't know if anyone else on council has, but, and I know we're not paying anything for it. And as I understand, we don't have to, advertise this or bid this out. But I thought at the last meeting, we had talked about getting 3 proposals just to, not that, again, I'm hearing that we have no issues. They're nearby. They've been providing good work, but just in the matter of transparency to show that we've solicited other, proposals from other, I know you said, Dave, you talked to some others and that they either are too far or, can't serve the size vehicles, and that's fine. I would typically prefer that we get that in writing so that we can,
I mean, they're not gonna put hey, we're too far, or we can't tow these vehicles. I mean.
yeah, but I mean, I was under the impression, maybe I misunderstood from the last meeting, that we were gonna put something out saying, hey, we're looking for, to renew our towing contract, and what are the services available out there, just to make sure that this is the best. I mean, I don't doubt that it is, but just to have some, you know what I mean? I mean, if we were paying something and we just said, well, we think that so-and-so is the cheapest and the closest, but we don't actually go out and get bids or proposals, then we don't really know for sure that's true. I'm not concerned about, I'm not going to vote against this. I'm just concerned about the process for any kind of contract that we're being, transparent and showing that we've gotten,
due diligence.
we've done our due diligence and looked at the options. And I'm not saying that you haven't, Mayor. I just think to have something in writing to show that, to show us, to show the public. That's all I'm suggesting.
I mean,
going
that would
forward.
be up to the board to I have no vote on that.
It's just a comment, a suggestion for the future.
I think that our conversation or discussion back at the last meeting involved all of those things that you said. And my takeaway was that it was a little unclear.
What was,
That we didn't make a definitive decision to have written proposals. What else are people remembering? Because I thought, I mean, I see what you're saying, you know, have those other two people give us a proposal in writing and give us a chance to look at them. But at the same time, it's kind of like, I don't know, to me, it's like kind of a done
We're
deal.
not really getting
Yeah.
nothing out of it,
Right.
you know.
my note from Craig was that he said, ask 3 vendors to submit proposals, was that he suggested. And I don't think he was saying we had to do that,
Right.
but that was just something he suggested. So maybe, you know, we didn't decide that we were going to follow
Yeah.
through with that.
Yeah.
I just,
So,
It might be something for the auditors, a question for them. You're talking about zero money.
right.
So nobody can overbid or underbid there. And then you get into the details of the proposals themselves. But in a case like this, an auditor might be able to give you some guidelines,
mhm.
since no money is involved.
Well, what you're saying is Craig said you can get other vendors to do proposals, but you don't have to. Like legally, we don't have to.
I agree that there's no money being spent by the borough here. So it's not like we have to get, but I'm just thinking theoretically, there could be someone else out there that's closer or could serve this need better. Now, I know from what I've heard tonight, I don't think that's really the case. I'm just saying to put that out there, to get 3, you know, the gold standard is to get 3 quotes when you're getting a contract or a proposal. And I'm just suggesting that, you know, for things like this in the future, we try to be
Yeah.
mindful of that.
I was gonna suggest it for tonight. We keep that in mind and we do that for everything in the future. Well, it has to be for anything we're spending any money. I mean, how many other things do we do that don't cost anybody anything? But I wonder if we could just pass this for the sake of tonight.
I'm not,
And-
like I said, I'm
yeah.
not trying to hold this up.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to say that, I mean, they are providing a service to our DPW, to our fire department, to our police department. And again, I know everyone's indicated they've been very happy with them. So I don't see any reason why they wouldn't get it again. I'm just saying even if there's no money being exchanged, there's opportunity for someone else to provide that service. And we haven't really put it on paper that we've done our due diligence in exploring that. That's all I'm trying to say. And I don't know if that makes sense, but and I know you've done it by making phone calls, but if someone came down the road and said, hey, why, you know, did you guys look, someone else, I don't know, comes up and says, hey, why didn't you guys consider me, or why didn't you shop this around at all? You know, if we have that in writing, we can say, yep, we shopped it around to these 3 and this is what we got and this is our decision. And that's all. You know, I didn't want to make a big deal about this. I'm just suggesting this for future contract. I mean, it's a contract that we're entering in.
Mhm. How
So
long is the contract for?
5 years.
That's a long time.
I mean, it's always been. but
Yeah.
That's usually the standard, you know, for the communities.
We've held that same contract since 1968.
Yeah.
Right. And the only reason we're actually even having this conversation is because for whatever reason, it lapsed.
Right.
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 Yeah. I mean, I don't know how that happened, but it lapsed.
Oh, 5 years was probably up. I mean, so again, I have no issue with them continuing to provide the service. It's just a matter of, I don't know. I think that we could be more diligent and put it in paper that we've explored other options and to show that this is the best, you know, the
No,
best
it's a
option.
good point, and we should do that going forward.
Like
And,
everything else that, we come across.
right,
And again, I just wanted to mention that comment because I was caught off guard when I saw the mayor's email this morning. I thought that we were going to get the 3 proposals, so I just wanted to put that out there because that was my understanding. So
Well, there's a motion on the floor.
yeah,
yeah.
go.
Right.
Any other,
I don't know where Ray went.
he got a fire call, I'm
Okay.
guessing. Any other questions or concerns about this motion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Don't, we should wait till Ray comes back.
Well, I don't know how long he's gonna be. Huh?
That's right. He made the motion.
So we have to wait?
No, if he made the motion, probably he's gonna be for it, right?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
forgot that he made the motion.
All right, I'm gonna say the motion passed. Okay.
Okay, the next thing, move on.
Sorry about that. I didn't remember.
We're assuming you voted for the towing
What's
contract.
that?
We're assuming you voted for the towing. contract.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay,
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to.
okay.
Okay, next thing I have is the high grass ordinance. Who are we getting to do the grass ordinance? Is it gonna be, what is it, BIU company?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, it is. And I see you have the door knocker, so I'll let you bring that up. So I was gonna,
Door hanger.
or the door hangers, I was gonna bring that up. So if you wanna, I mean, you're on the ordinance committee.
You're the mayor, you're welcome to say.
There is a notice of violation, and I guess this will be the first warning of, it would be put on when they do see it. Or do we know for sure?
Well, we're gonna talk about that when we get to Tricia's report in more depth.
Okay, so, okay, they're gonna talk about it more, but these will be the door knockers that go on your door, whether you're being cited or just a warning at that time. And this is gonna be used for just about everything. Snow and ice on the sidewalks and garbage on the property, junk cars, everything. Address identification, that's a big thing that we've always had
Mhm.
in this community. So you can, when the time comes, you can continue that. And the last thing I have is a resident on North Avenue, Natasha Grants, I believe it is, 518 North Avenue. She is requesting a slow children playing sign on the street. That would be upper north, the 500 block would be, the upper north.
Mhm.
So bringing it up to the
Was that the
board.
same one requested? Or was there one requested recently? Was that
Yeah.
the same one?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
We got that late or something, I believe, or something. didn't we?
yeah,
Or they're
it came
gonna-
in that day or something.
And
so.
we're gonna look into that, but I'm bringing it up, for the board to, if they want to put a children play sign, it would require 2 of them up and down the street, one going up, one coming down.
So the only thing I am unclear about, and maybe we can get in touch with that person too, is she talking about a sign that you put in the cement? And it says children play like the
Like you
big
see
yellow
everywhere, yeah.
diamond, or
Yeah.
the thing like this that you put in the middle of the
No, it would
road?
be the signs. They're-
A permanent
Yeah,
sign?
because we don't have room up there to put the A-frame sign.
You think? No.
Yeah,
Okay, so these are permanent signs.
right.
And you are suggesting that we have one at the top and at the bottom of the block.
Right, and that would be up to AJ where he would put them at, the best location. That'd be up to the street crew, street foreman. But it would
Geez.
be, the whole block, basically from first to second.
I'm thinking we should have that for the 400 block of North also.
That's up to the board. I thought about that too. Put them both upper and lower North Avenue.
We have one right in front of my house.
Oh, there is one there? They don't pay attention anyways.
Oh, okay, there's already one in front of your house. That's good, that's
All right,
good.
so then we put
Never
two up
mind.
there, upper North Avenue.
Okay. So does anybody have any questions, concerns, comments about doing this?
No.
No. Should we make a motion for this?
Do
Put
we-
up a sign,
they'd
probably.
really be available, right? See how we could just.
We
put
may
them up.
have some over there. If not, he'll just order them and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We should probably make a motion since this is a permanent sign.
I'll
So
make
make
that
a
motion.
motion to put this children at play signs on North Avenue.
Okay, first by Mr. Forbeck,
Second.
second by Mrs. Provenza. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion pass. And that looks like,
All right, thank you. That's all I
okay.
have.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Next is Mr. Forbeck.
Thank you. So on my first time, I had trash at the public docks. There was a concern about the trash that was at the public docks. I talked to Bill Brown, who is the down there. We actually had a very nice talk, about a half-hour talk about handling waste, because people who are at the docks were using the rowing clubs receptacles, and there was a concern whether or not our trash was being emptied. Our DPW guys are changing or emptying the trash every Thursday. There wasn't an issue with that. He did not have an issue with that. He just said during special events, they might need some help with, and so at the end of the day, what's gonna happen is they're gonna actually order a larger dumpster that we might even be able to use it at times too. So it was a very good amicable solution to the issues that were down there. So there's not gonna be an issue with the trash at the public docks unless people put it in the water. It always is. The second was on DPW again. I wanted to thank the DPW guys, as Nancy already had done, for the great work they've been doing with the baskets and the flowers and everything in this hot weather.
Mhm.
So I mean, they've been really, really fantastic for what they were doing. And related to that, apparently this was just in the email, and I want to thank Lisa Cooper Jensen for being a fantastic sleuth of finding out what has been happening. We have been charged for over a year, almost 2 years, for a dumpster at 736 East Railroad Avenue by County Hauling. And it was found out that had been removed back in 2019, correct? And that all the payments that were made, if there was any in 2021, will be refunded to us. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
If not,
she said that they would.
yes.
So
So thank
it's just us agreeing that what you think we owe is what we think you owe, kind of thing.
So really appreciate the great work that you did on that.
Thank you, Mike. Nancy put me on to that.
And speaking of that particular dumpster, I believe, was the one that was used for recycling. It was supposed to be for recycling, and the council had it removed because people were using this for garbage at the same time. So
If I remember right, contractors were just driving up and backing off their trucks
Yep.
into there.
Mhm.
Yep. So we got rid of it.
So speaking of that, since this relates to that, I did talk to Scott Fody from Oakmont, and he is going to bring up to the council, their Oakmont council, about jointly going for a 902 recycling grant for glass, either receptacles, either here and Oakmont or something. We're going to try to figure that all out. So we might actually have joined with them for a 902 recycling grant. So that's, if not, we can still go on our own with that. And one thing, this just came to mind because you were talking about the the local technical assistance program, and that those folks are coming in. Dave Matlin and I walked with PennDOT and Courtney from Friends of the Riverfront for the Verona Oakmont Penels Thumb Bop Trail for our next phase, which is an engineering design and permitting for going from Verona through Oakmont. And it was a very good informative walk that we learned a lot about what we need to do for our if we're going to put a trail, if we're going to put a trail anywhere on the roads, and crossings and everything like that. So we expect more from that. We had a meeting last night, yesterday on it. And we are going to go for possibly additional grants for that. So just want to let everybody know about that. And I think that was it. So,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Before we continue, a couple things. I just want to say that's great about combining glass recycling. Grass, it's hilarious. Okay, and I think that we could end up, if County Hauling agrees, getting a nice hefty refund to put back in the coffers for a bill we shouldn't have been paying.
Let me remind you of something else.
Okay,
Speaking of, the other thing that that Oakmont's going to look into, because Plum's already doing this, is renegotiating the contract with county
yeah.
and bringing glass back into curbside recycling.
Oh, cool.
And I know for a fact that county does take their glass to Recycle Source, which does accept, or takes the recycling to Recycle Source, which accepts glass
Mhm.
and has a market for it.
Mhm.
So it's something that I think we should also look at. I want to see what comes up with Oakmont and Plum to find out if we should be renegotiating.
Oh, I'd love that. That would be great. Thank you. But anyway, before, Dave, before you go, I see that this lovely woman is here. Athene? Tina is here. So why don't we not make her wait for the whole meeting and go ahead and let her answer some of our questions. What would be nice is if you could come to the podium and turn on the mic. You have to press the button all the way to the top. You can take it out if you need to.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And then state your name and address.
My name is Athena Hopkins at 715 First Street.
Okay. Good. So I think people had some questions about your proposal and some suggestions. One of the suggestions was to block the entire alley because people who might not live there but thought they were going to drive through, then they get up to the thing and they say, oops, now what do I do? And then they kind of, it's probably a little alley and they got to back out. Yeah. But people who did live there and wanted, then you kind of sort of have to look, pay attention, see if someone like who lives there, you move, go ahead, move the barricade, come on in,
I let them know ahead of time.
Yeah.
so I'm not the requirement of that.
Yeah.
Should be aware.
How many neighbors are there up there in that block?
Let's see, next door to me, 1, 2, 3, there's at least 4 on this side, then over here on the other side, there's 1, 2. And then there's like 2 homes and then the apartments. I think there's like 3 or 4 apartment buildings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
So,
it's kind of a lot. I know
Yeah.
most of them, I don't know everybody.
okay.
So.
And the other question I think was what time?
Well, we're gonna have the ceremony at 11, but they're gonna have to set up the gazebo tent right in that part of the alley. So I'm thinking probably like 9 o'clock, give them time to get set up. And
Okay.
then the ceremony's at 11,
Mm-hmm.
and then and it'll just be small, it's just gonna be like family and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 3 o'clock will be the reception, and more people will come. But it'll probably be 50, maybe 75, if even that. Because, with weddings, it's hard to gauge how many people are coming because not a lot of people have responded yet. But we expect that they'll just come and go. 'Cause it's not a real formal thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just for people to come and say congratulations. We're not doing like traditional dances or anything like that. It'll just be like just a little celebration.
One question just came to my mind though, is where are all these 50 to 75 people gonna park?
I don't think it's gonna be that many again, and I know that the school lot across the street, that there's nobody there during, the weekend. And there are places on the street too on the weekends, more than the weekdays.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What were other questions that people had for Tina?
What day is that again?
That's Saturday, July 17th.
July 17th.
We talked about, would send a letter out with our people that's announcing to the neighbors too. But if she could let the neighbors
I'll
know,
definitely.
that way everybody, it's covered by everybody,
What are the hours again that it'll be closed? You don't need it
Well,
closed?
I'm thinking at least 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm not sure how late, however late you all agree would be fine. I mean, I'm thinking maybe 9. So
And as long as the other people can get from either end of their garages, because there is some garages back there.
Yes, yeah,
Right.
some people do park.
Maybe we can get, somebody can get a sign made up, local traffic or,
Mhm.
barrier if you need to get in there. Or when you tell them this is happening, just tell them there's gonna be barriers, you can move them to get in and out of your driveway.
That's a good idea.
And also, I would like to suggest, being we're gonna close it off and being they're having a formal, event there that Friday, the street sweeper goes down the road just to freshen it up. That's up to the board.
Yeah,
Good idea.
So that would be 7/16, street sweeper. Please, you gotta help me
It's
remember
narrow
that.
enough, probably one pass that would, clean it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
just,
I do appreciate it too, because the main reason I want to have it at home is my son, I don't know if any of you know Leo. He's 16, he's autistic. And it's hard to take him places and everybody who can watch him will want to be at the wedding.
right.
So that's kind of why I wanted
Yeah,
to.
we don't have no problem, yeah.
who's getting married?
I'm getting married.
Congratulations.
Oh, great. Oh, congratulations.
That'll be
Congrats.
our present, sweeping from the borough. No, we'll get it swept.
Yes.
Make it
Is the
look.
mayor
presentable.
marrying you?
So, all right, so 12 hours, 9 AM to 9 PM. You're gonna let the neighbors know, but we might also put out a letter just to
To verify.
put the icing on the cake, so to speak. And, let's see, neighbors, I don't know, anything else?
Can I say something? Are you serving alcohol at the wedding?
Well, what we're gonna do is we're not serving anything hard. We're just gonna serve light beer and like those White Claws.
Well, just want to remind the council, if there's any alcohol being served and you're using a public street, you need insurance for that day.
How do you do that?
You gotta apply, I'm an event planner,
Okay.
that's required, because somebody get in trouble leaving their wedding, trip and fall, whatever, if you are using a public street, you have to name your own council as a co-insured.
You can just call your insurance agent. It's a
Yeah.
common form.
Okay.
Just tell them you need a certificate of insurance, naming the borough as co-insured.
Yeah,
Okay.
call your homeowner insurance, let them
Yeah.
know what you're doing, and you make sure you have to give them the dimension of the street, because it's a public street.
Thank you.
And when that's done, just bring a copy down to the borough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Drop it off.
thanks,
whatever.
Sherry.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That's it.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
So,
Thanks for coming down to answer.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah,
No problem.
appreciate it. Good luck,
Thank you.
good luck with everything.
Thanks.
So at this point, I don't think that we did a motion before, right? No. We were just sort of agreeing, but it seems like it's a little more involved than we originally thought. We want to take a motion to approve the closing of Tennis Way on July 17th from 9 AM to 9 PM.
Make the motion.
Motion by Mrs. Oalbo, second by Mr. Okay, Mr. Suchovich. Any other questions or concerns about this street closure?
Are we adding
Contingent
the
upon the
borough, the
insurance.
insurance as well as the borough notifying?
Um,
Is Annette, and that's gonna be, she'll be able to notify the neighbors?
There wouldn't be any reason Annette couldn't take a letter out.
I'll send her up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
contingent on insurance and
Should we have
notification.
the time, 9 AM to 9 PM?
Yes,
Is that-
yes. Okay. Any other questions or concerns about the motion on the floor? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thanks, Tina.
Can I have that paper? I'm gonna take a picture of the address so I can tell them that.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
She wins.
oh, okay. All right. So I think that is wrapped up. And Mr. Matlin, it's your turn.
All right, thank you, Madam President. The first item I have is, I mentioned this a couple meetings ago. Everyone should have a copy. For the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement System, which is where our non-uniform pension plan is held for Public Works and Annette. We are due for the agreement to be updated. So there's an adoption agreement that needs to be signed. We're basically restating the plan. There aren't any changes to the benefits or anything like that. It's they did update just some of the terms in the agreement just to match what we're currently already doing. So along with that agreement is an ordinance. Craig had this advertised around the time of the last meeting, so it was advertised in the paper, and I'll just read off the summary of the ordinance. Ordinance of the Borough of Verona, County of Allegheny County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, electing to amend its non-uniform pension plan administered by the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement System pursuant to Article 4 of the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement Law, agreeing to be bound by all provisions of the Pennsylvania Municipal Retirement Law as amended and as applicable to member municipalities. It is hereby ordained by Verona Borough, Allegheny County as follows. So I'd like to make a motion to pass this ordinance.
Okay, first by Mr. Matlin, second by Mr. Forbeck. Any questions or concerns? No. Okay, it's kind of a no-brainer. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Okay.
All right, thank you. I also have to get you the agreement. I think Craig prepared the ordinance for you to sign, but I'll have to get you the agreement that
Okay.
goes along with it. The other thing I had, I put on here about the street closure and events permit process. I know this came up at the last meeting. I know the mayor had talked about, so there were some concerns that came up about the Intergroove event earlier this month. And I thought that we didn't discuss it a whole lot at the last meeting. I thought we should look at how we can better handle things like this in the future. I know the mayor was talking about forming an events committee, and I've spoken with him about this and about my feelings. I feel that an event committee is not necessary at this time because one, we have a lot of committees already in the community and on council. We already have a communications committee, which Ms. Provenza is chair of. And I think that Verona Council ultimately, just like we saw with the wedding event, I mean, council is ultimately going to be the decision maker with consultation with the borough staff or assistance from the staff in making the final say as to whether to close a street and what events are allowed on borough property. So I think, there can be a process to have people share the details of their event and have a process for people to do that so that everyone's aware and involved in the process and knows what's going on. So I think we can do better from what we learned from the last meeting and from, the concerns that were brought up. I think that it involved, council needs to involve the mayor, any borough administrative staff, including, secretary or manager, chief of police, public works foreman. I had heard that, AJ didn't know all the details of that last event. They should be informed of these when necessary and reviewed with them so that they, it impacts how they do their job, and they may be able to offer good guidance or good input there. And I think that either the borough or the event host needs to be communicating with affected residents, business owners, any other stakeholders, especially along the closed, whatever streets closed. So I think the way the event was approved, it went through what we would normally do in the past. So I don't think that anything was done wrong by Intergroove. I think this is something that we just needed to have a better process and a better communication for things like this so that people are aware. So what I've done, I drafted I looked at one, we already have a parks permit and a special events permit primarily for use in the parks. We don't have anything for street closures. I looked and I found a few other municipalities, Swissvale, Wilkinsburg, the city of Pittsburgh, city of Philadelphia, all have street closure permits. Some are, bigger and more involved than others. I don't think we need to make this anything, too crazy, but we already have these parks permits. So I kind of looked at those and what we have. It's fairly basic, but I listed, a bunch of things that I thought we could, look at for consideration. So I was just gonna share that with, let's see. I was gonna share it on the screen here.
It's up there.
Well, I don't know if the people that sitting at home can see it. So let me pull it up here. Let's go. So I took some information from, so I think other municipalities use this as a checklist to go through and make sure that the details are, one, that the host has ironed out the details and that they're being shared with the borough and, with anyone else that needs to know. And it lets everyone know what's needed and what's going to happen. So there's just, some general event information, liability insurance, copy if it's included. So yeah, I wanted to run this by council. I wanted to share it with the public and get feedback. I wasn't planning to try to set this in stone tonight or anything, but I want to get feedback and hopefully we can decide at a future meeting to implement this going forward. But some of the things are, do they need electricity hookups at the borough building? If it's something on East Railroad, do they need trash receptacles? I guess, we want to keep it reasonable. If we have extra trash bins that we can provide for a big event, then maybe we offer those up to be provided, and we just need them to tell us. What's the situation with sanitary facilities? This is a block party, people are just going to use their house. If this is, event like the Intergroove one, then, we probably want to know what are they planning for that, and what, is that going to be acceptable for a large crowd? Is alcohol going to be sold? Do they have the proper, PLCB permits, stuff like that?
I
So,
have a question on the alcohol.
Hold on, Sherry. I'm asking if you could please write your question down. And then when it's public comment time, you're certainly welcome to make your question.
The street ownership, this really should be used for borough-owned streets. I think if it's a county or PennDOT street, they're gonna have to go through that process, but I listed that here. just so that if someone were to check that, then we could flag that, in the office and say, let them know that they can't, we can't give authorization for that. So there's, time of the closure, is this a block party? I think we've handled block parties maybe a little bit differently in the past. Maybe we want to make sure that the other residents, there's enough residents that are okay with it. And these are just all things, these are ideas I had that I'd thrown down, that are certainly can be changed or edited based on what everyone thinks. And then I had a couple lines here for reviewing with the borough manager or secretary, DPW foreman, Verona Chamber of Commerce, if it's in the business district. I don't know if we want to, that's something that we want to do internally, have that review or have the applicant or the host, review it with them before council approves it. And then have they identified a plan to maintain traffic flow for vehicles and pedestrians? Is ADA access going to be hindered? And I know that typically we, between the police and mayor and staff, we kind of know, like for East Railroad, what typically happens. But if it's a road that isn't often closed, then we just want to make sure that there's a traffic plan so that it doesn't cause traffic issues. And then have all affected residents, businesses, and other property owners been contacted and made aware of the event details. This wouldn't really apply for borough streets, but are there any bus or transit routes that would be impacted? That's something that a lot of other municipalities have. We certainly wouldn't want to, the only bus route uses ARB and Wildwood. So I don't think that's really an issue, but we don't want people to impact that. And then there's just their contact info. There's a thing for internal use. We could choose to charge a permit fee, maybe a nominal fee just for the office staff to, vet this and review it. These are just ideas. So I think that's kind of it. I feel like if we have this kind of checklist that everyone is going through, it is like a reminder to us of the questions to ask of them, and a reminder to the people hosting, like, hey, you need to think about this and make sure that your plan is solid before you bring it to council.
I really like this. This would pretty much be what I was wanting to do as far as getting an event committee. But this is much simpler, and we don't have to, this would all be up to the people that are doing it. I do like this. I think it's very detailed. The only thing is, and I don't know, when you says has a plan to identify the flow of traffic, that would be on us. We would be responsible for, the flow of traffic, not the resident or business owner. You know what I mean? We would have to sit down with the chief and the Department of Public Works and put that together.
Yeah, and that's.
But other than that, I like it. I really do. It's plain, it's simple, and it's to the point.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank you,
Dave. Yeah, some of these things like that traffic plan, and even reviewing with the chamber, reviewing with others. I mean, it's kind of on the fence. Do we, some of this, I think it's on the event planner to come up with some of these details and share them with us and think about, their event and what they're doing. But I mean, something like the traffic plan, if we feel comfortable between, I don't know who would be involved, you and the chief mainly.
It's like the car crews. We do the entire street from, and we reroute the traffic.
Yeah, so if you feel like we could handle that on the borough side, and they say we're shutting down this section of street, or this is what we want to shut down, and then we come up with the traffic flow plan, that's fine. I was thinking, a good chunk of this you could put on the event host, just to save us some trouble.
Yeah.
But something like that, I mean, maybe reviewing with the chief or with the mayor, it's something that we want to check off,
Right. Almost stuff.
Lisa or borough secretary could say, hey, mayor, have you reviewed this? Are you good with this? That sort of thing. So the only other things I wanted to add is one, I mentioned the fee, notifications, who's going to, and Ray brought this up earlier, you know, who should it be? Should it be us notifying the neighbors, the businesses, the residents, or should it be, you know, the event host? I mean, I could kind of see it going either way. The event host knows the details of their event the best, but you know, if we do it, then we know that they're notified. So it's kind of,
Great.
I think this is pretty cool, Dave. A couple comments, questions you have down here, like trash receptacles requested.
mhm,
If we're gonna start putting trash receptacles out, who's gonna be responsible for emptying them? Our DPW guys? Then we gotta pay them overtime to do this on other time. Or is the people gonna be responsible for their own trash? And the other question I have is you have electric requested here. Would there be a fee for the electric? I mean, if we're just gonna let somebody hook up to our electric, will there be a fee for that? I mean, this is great. I'm not down what you did. I think it's good.
mhm.
But just a couple little things we might need to look into.
You have to be careful with using borough funds or facilities,
Mhm.
especially, like, there's a big difference between a commercial street closing
Mhm.
and a residential.
Mhm.
And, you know, if somebody wants to close the street, we give them a garbage can. The guy next door isn't gonna like that.
Mhm.
And it's borough money,
Mhm.
it's tax money, so it's for everybody. So
Yeah.
you can run into problems with that.
Yeah, no, those are good. Those are great comments. I appreciate the feedback. We certainly don't have to include those here. We don't even have to offer that sort of thing up to
Well, just
people.
for instance, last week or whatever, if the intergroup would ask for trash fees, how many trash cans would he have had to put out? And who would keep emptying them? And, you know,
Yeah, they actually ended up emptying.
no, I
them.
understand
Yeah,
that. I'm
yeah,
just saying.
yeah.
I mean, I
If it's a
know.
community event, that's a different
That's a
thing.
different
Mhm.
That's
Right.
different.
Well,
But
and-
if it's an individual.
Well, and that's
Right.
where, you know, I think we'll need to weigh, you know, whether is this a community event or is this, you know, a residential block party? You know, I'm not saying that we should, you know, someone wants to have a block party on Second Street, that we use borough resources to have trash cans for them. But I know, like, for the parks in the past, you know, we've put out some of the blue bins for some of the community events, but we could strike that altogether and
I'm
just
just saying,
not.
something to look into,
I
discuss,
Yeah.
that's
I
all.
think might be a good idea is if you clearly define who's responsible for what
Right.
on this.
Mhm.
And so everybody knows with the form, you know, whatever it is.
That's a
we
great
can
start,
go
though.
on it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, well, we could say, do you need trash receptacles? You know, some may be available at the borough building, but you're responsible for emptying them and disposing of. I mean, is that kind of what you're getting at, Mike,
Well,
or something else?
I mean, anything that we were talking about, we were talking about, I think, Mayor's and some about, you know, that someone's gonna do one thing and somebody's gonna do the other. I just think we need to define who is responsible for, yeah, but like trash is, right, who's gonna be taking care of it? You're gonna be responsible for taking care of that trash, probably within the time frame too.
A lot of people don't have a lot of extra trash cans if they're having a block party.
Right.
So we might have some here that we can lend to them.
Mhm.
You know, they'll be responsible for emptying them and everything.
Empty 'em and maybe return. Or
Right.
refill 'em,
Right.
or whatever,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like barricades, like, you know, we typically put out we
Right,
have
right.
barricades for a street closure. So that's where I was thinking, you know, and I saw other forms similar to this and they had things like that. Do you need trash cans? Do you need barricades and that sort of thing? So, I mean,
Well-
some of them, they say you're responsible for, you know, we'll put the barricades out, but you're responsible for putting them up at the time of the start and taking them down at the end. So that's another thing. And I mean, we could certainly have Craig review this too before we finalize and make sure he doesn't see anything, you know, legal liability issues. But I'm well, any other comments, you know, send them to me and I'll.
Well, along the lines of what's been mentioned, I'm thinking maybe have it as a checklist like you were saying. And if they need electric, then that's a fee. If they need
Yeah.
garbage receptacles, that's a fee. If it's a bigger size thing and we have to have, like the one, Botany and Booze, we had to have a guy, a
Mhm.
DBW guy working overtime for the day. We didn't
Mhm.
have him for both days. So, yeah, so that should be a fee. And
Mhm.
so then it's like a menu. So
Yeah,
if you don't need
that's-
electric, then you don't pay that fee. But if you
Mm-hmm.
do, then you do. And right? And I don't know the answer to this, but when it's a borough event or like the car cruise, that's a big event. That's a chamber event.
Mhm.
So then, do we have the fees for that? Do we make it 50% of the fees for that? How do we work that? I'm asking
good
questions. I have
question.
no idea what the answer is.
Mhm.
I'm just putting that out there as things. And also, in terms of alcohol, I was thinking you could do like, will alcohol be sold at the event? If yes, do you have your PLCB? Do you have insurance? If no, then skip to the next question,
Yeah,
something like that. But I do think that people need to pay for the services. So, if they just need the DPW guys to drop off a few garbage cans and the DPW guys don't have to worry about emptying the garbage and they just drop off the blockade things, then maybe that's a nominal fee. I don't know.
No, I don't think that's.
yeah, I mean, something like
I
that,
don't
they
think-
could put it down on a Friday and say, hey, it's ready here on Friday. You
Right.
guys can
Mhm.
use it Saturday for your event,
You will be responsible.
But
Right.
But again, this is something AJ should be involved in reviewing the plans so that he
Yeah.
knows, that he can say, hey, I don't have a guy on Friday that can do this. Can we work something else out? That
Mhm.
sort of thing. Just,
Mhm.
it's just to keep everyone in the loop. And the
Yeah,
other
it's a good
thing
idea.
is,
Well,
how
yeah.
far in advance would we want people to have to submit this? Because I think, maybe for some of the smaller events, if it's just a single, like this alley closing, that's a private event. It's not affecting a lot of people. Maybe we don't need it to give as much notice to the public or to council, but if it's a bigger event, I think that there should be enough time in advance where they submit their application. Council gets a chance to review it and discuss it at a meeting. And then that way people of the public would say, hey, wait a second, I don't like this. They can give their feedback, well in advance of the event.
Well, I think
So-
between now and
30
the
days.
Yeah.
next
30
3
days,
months,
yeah.
we could, the board could put this together and put it in the newsletter
Mhm.
and get it out and start, from
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, I'd like to
First
get
of the
some of these
year,
details,
more or
work
less.
through them, hear feedback from everyone about this. Is this a good idea, bad idea? Do we want to tweak stuff? I mean, I've already got notes from the great feedback tonight. So,
I think it's great. Yeah, does it need tweaked? Yeah, it does, like
Yeah.
anything else. And I'm sure once we do implement it, it'll need tweaked again, once we go through everything. But I think it's a good thing to do.
Really
okay.
appreciate you putting this
Yes,
together,
thank
Dave.
you. Sure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, anything else on that? It sounds like,
Yeah, there's
No.
some good ideas flowing and, we'll come back to it.
okay. Yeah, and then if anyone has any other comments on it, like send them my way and I'll revise it and send it out again. So the next item, the American Rescue Plan, the ARPA, that's the stimulus funding, the federal stimulus funding that was issued earlier this year for municipalities. So an update on that, because I know everyone on council has been getting a lot of emails or notifications about that, reminding everyone to get in. So I submitted this on June 21st. We had a little snafu with the federal assistance registration. It's called SAM that we needed. So Nancy and I worked through that, and that was submitted through DCD. Last I checked, it was still under review, but I know Janet, you were able to see a list that showed that it did show up as it's been submitted. So that's going to get the borough about $250,000 in assistance. It's pretty strict on what you can spend it on, but the guidance has been, evolving on that. I did hear initially it was supposed to come half and half this year and half next year. Somewhere else recently, I heard that it might be coming all at once. I don't know. I don't think, we haven't figured out how we're going to spend that. The only thing I was going to mention on that is that I think talking with a couple people that are more familiar with finances, that we should probably be a good idea to open a separate account to track this, because there's a lot more compared to a lot of the state grants or the state programs. I think the federal has a lot more requirements as far as tracking how that's spent and everything. So If anyone, I mean, I don't think there should be any objections to that, but if everyone's good with that, I think Nancy and I'll look to just set up a separate account either with S&T or with Pliget to keep the revenue, and then any expenditures for the grant for that money would come out of that. So, so I just wanted to give everyone an update on that. The money should be released, at least the initial part, sometime in the next month or so. So that's all I have.
Thanks. I'm glad to hear that we have confirmation it was submitted, because we keep getting these little postcards that say, better hurry up and submit this.
And on the DCD I'm that I can log into, it does say that it was received and that it's under
Okay.
review. So I'm not too worried about it, but yeah, we're good.
Okay, great. Anything else?
That's all I have.
All
Thanks.
right. Thank you, Dave. And I see that Trish Redzak Showalter is ready for
Yes,
her
thank you.
report.
Thank you, Madam President. The first item I have under my agenda for tonight is just a brief update on ordinances. So as you may recall, we had a pause on ordinance generation until our new firm, BIU, was secured in place, and we worked out a few hiccups with our reps. We did increase our meeting frequency over the last month to help ease the transition. And due to the July 4th holiday, we're going back to 1 month. We're going to see how that goes in the month of July. As a reminder, our new BIU reps are Ken Keeley for code enforcement, and we have Joe working on building inspection. You may also see Chris. We have all of their contact information here at the borough, as well as on the website if anyone from the public needs to reach out to them with any questions, or certainly any of us with any questions. We think it's going a lot better now. We also, as many of you will recall, we put Matt Pitch, our engineer, in place as our zoning officer for the borough. That's also going well. He's working with Lisa. Thank you, Lisa, for all of your help, as well as Nancy, of course, with the office work and getting everything streamlined and efficient, and using cloud-based systems even coming soon. So very confident with the new system that we're working out. So I added earlier that we are also, with the transition to BIU more underway, we are moving forward with more proactive code enforcement. So you may have heard that we started distributing these, well, Ken specifically started distributing these within the neighborhood for common occurrences such as high grass or trash issues with gutters. So we're trying to just do this as a courtesy at first. You will have so many days to correct, but we will go back to enforcing fees if these items are not addressed. I did want to mention we are also still using our tip system. So if you notice an issue in your area, you're certainly welcome to report it anonymously, and we will have Ken check that out. We've received a few of those over the past month as well. So my final agenda item for tonight, Madam President just asked me to share a brief overview of the ALON conference that I had the honor of participating in recently. So I just have a couple slides I wanted to share with all of you here tonight. So ALON, for anyone who doesn't know, stands for the Allegheny League of Municipalities. They do an annual conference every year, usually in April. It's their spring educational conference that normally all of council, I believe, as well as the mayor here, get to attend, but due to the financial difficulties, we opted to not participate this year. However, due to a scholarship called the Banner Community Scholarship that Verona is one community that was recognized for being a so-called banner community. We were able to send one person for free. That included the registration. I just drove up every day and brought snacks. So I got to participate though in all the educational seminars. So this is us. Sylvia Provenza will talk a bit more next meeting about what it means to be a banner community and our recognition, but I just wanted to mention that briefly, as well as the fact that I made many wonderful friends here. This would have been better timed if I had not broken my toe in 2 spots a couple days beforehand. However, many nice people, including the mayor of Emsworth here, helped me out. I have this very cool scooter for the second day.
I also have a couple extra copies of the program that they gave if anyone's curious about the types of educational programs they offer. It varies every year. They try to keep it current to issues that municipalities in our area are facing, as well as current trends. So of course, this year with the American Rescue Plan, there was a lot of emphasis on finances, which was very beneficial, as well as a couple other very relevant stuff. So I did track down the speakers and ask them for copies of the two main financial talks. So I will put them in a shared drive for everyone to access. But the main topic again was the American Rescue Plan, which, as people have already mentioned tonight, have changed a lot in terms of how things are being distributed, what types
Uh-oh,
not meant to be.
give me, I'll get it.
I can just talk about
Yeah, the battery one.
Yeah, that's fine.
They don't work.
They ain't working.
I'll just talk about it. So the guidance has changed many times. People alluded to tonight about what types of things the municipalities can spend them on. So the information that was presented was current as of June 8th. The main deadlines, as Dave already mentioned, was just submitting our information by June 30th. And we have until the end of 2024 to earmark the funds, and by the end of 2026 to spend the funds. Other things of interest, again, as Dave already mentioned, is a lot of the experts recommend, since it's such a large quantity of money that must be spent only on specific items, that you just go ahead and put that in a separate account, so everything is very clear what's being spent for what. The main theme that people kept mentioning is water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure as things that you can spend this money on, but of course, anything kind of related to COVID can qualify. So there's a lot of things that were suggested here. The top, the right mentioned some capital improvement stuff you could use, or general compliance, or addressing chronic problems within your municipality. So there's many other things that could qualify, and there'll definitely be a period, I'm sure, that we allow some public input as to which things we should use this money for over the next couple of years. But it's a wonderful boost coming our way. One of the other talks was from Connect, the Congress of Neighboring Communities, which serves to bring together the city of Pittsburgh and the surrounding municipalities to identify common public policy challenges. Right now, they have a focus on the future of firefighting and firefighting departments, and building a more collaborative relationship with municipalities, which I thought was very interesting and helpful. Included some details here, including their contact information, and they also have a wonderful website where they talk about an assortment of other topics in addition to firefighting and public safety measures, but a very interesting resource that is quite close to us, so we may end up reaching out to them for some future projects. The last one I wanted to mention, and on a really kind of nice feel-good kind of note, is one that was on the National Register of Historic Places and Commercial Successes. So you may have heard of National Historic Districts or National Historic Buildings. There are a lot of buildings and structures that can qualify for this, not just buildings, but also bridges, carousels, objects. So there are over some 90,000 listings currently. And there's many benefits to the community. Aside from historic preservation, it also provides your community with a sense of place and can help to increase tourism. A lot of people are drawn to destinations that are historic districts. And there are even some tax credits that we can apply for through the federal government and potentially state for having some of these historic landmarks. So I did want to just kind of ask everyone tonight if you have any thoughts in mind for Verona that we could maybe pursue. I mentioned this to Donald Wharf and the Historical Society, that perhaps we could have this speaker who gave this talk, his name is Jerry, come out and talk to us at a future meeting. He was very enthusiastic to share with us this information. And I know others on council have mentioned going forward with perhaps designating one of our many beautiful buildings or structures as an official historic landmark. So if anyone wants to throw out any ideas, I thought that would be kind of neat to talk about tonight. But this third talk is also going to be available in that shared drive. And if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to give more details on any of these talks or ones that I didn't mention at any time. So thank you.
Thanks, Trish.
Thanks, Trish. Related to the historic registration, I know there's a, through the state, the Historical Commission, I think, I forget the formal name, but there are grants available for doing a historic component to a comprehensive plan. So looking like, that's something I mentioned to Mike in the past, that when we get to that point of updating the comprehensive plan, if we wanted to add a historic component, and there's grant opportunities through the state to cover that portion of it. So that could be tied in with any efforts to get, historic registration.
Great.
There's 2 places that are on the registration now. Christine Davis, consultant, she's an archaeologist, a very well-known archaeologist in the United States. Her building down on Penn Street used to be the old Cable Lee building where they housed horses for the ferry to go across the Allegheny. And Allegheny River Boulevard's on there also for the granite curves from Verona all the way into the city, all 3 communities. She actually put it on there,
Great, well, thank you. I think definitely, I was thinking maybe your boathouses or historic riverfront.
The Duquesne Club may be on there also.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Mhm.
Yeah, boathouse is a good idea. Yeah. And let me have that, Trish, because it's not put together right. Here, I'll give it to Dave. Dave, you can do this. Get the thing on right. Okay, thanks, Trish. Next up is Mr. Suchovich.
The only thing I have is we had a couple incidents with police and EMS and a citizen. I don't know all the specifics yet. I want to meet with with the police committee, which would be Trish and Nancy. Apparently the one guy was in cardiac arrest. He actually flatlined, and a citizen started CPR along with the police go out there and hit him with Narcan, I think twice. Found out that he was having a heart attack, but it was, I guess, possibly due to the drugs he induced. But we have that citizen that really jumped into action, called 911 and pulled CPR, and this person survived. And then there was another incident I'm trying to get to the bottom of, where the police had to shoot someone else with a shoot. They had to give someone else Narcan and bring them back. And I just want to talk to the committee to see how do we want to address this with any like proclamations or anything like that?
When was this? Because I know nothing about either situation.
I don't know the dates now, Dave. It's been 3 weeks maybe. So them are the 2 issues I'd like to sit down with the committee and see where we can go forward with this. So
Proclamations for,
possibly for well, I mean, okay, the citizen had just jumped in. From what I understand, he was leaving Gitco and was going over to a bar restaurant, and the guy went down inside. And so he just jumped into action, called 911, and the 911 operator guided him through CPR. And
wow.
so we'll look into that, and then we'll look into the other one that the police supposedly did. And that's it on that. I want to meet with the committee. On the other thing I have.
Thanks for letting us know that, because I knew nothing about that's the communication, the problem that I have with the police chief. Thank you.
Yeah, well, like I said, that's what was brought to me, and actually Lower Valley wasn't even in the town that night. They were on another call, and Penn Hills EMS come down and took care of the one across the street, across the boulevard.
Both of the people survived.
I believe so, yes.
That's great.
Yes, and it was brought to my attention from Trish. She wanted to know if we could do try to get the CPR for the community class set up. So we need to talk to Lower Valley, see if they're willing to do something like that, if it could be up at the fire hall or something like that, where, I don't know how many people they can do at once or anything, so that's in the works too, so that's what I have going right now. Thank you.
Anything about fire? The fire?
The fire, no? Fire hall? No,
There was
never.
a
No,
fire
not the-
on West Road.
Oh, there was a fire on West Railroad, yeah. We got called Sunday morning for a structure fire at 5:45 in the morning. Possible entrapment, fully involved building. We get down there and the building was fully involved. And the lady was outside of the building. She didn't know where her son was. Apparently there was a 15-year-old son, didn't know if he was in this room or at home or out or in or out, whatever. So we did our primary, secondary searches. We found nothing. We got the fire extinguished. We did another search with the fire marshal. We called the fire marshal's office in. They do all our investigating for the county. And we haven't heard nothing from them yet. But as usual, the county's backed up. So we probably won't hear nothing for a while from them. Ends up, we come to find out that this 15-year-old individual might have been with a friend. We don't know if it was a boyfriend or girlfriend, just a friend. We don't really know. So there was no fatalities. We did send the lady to the hospital because she had high levels of carbon monoxide. And Lower Valley, I believe it was Lower Valley, transported her to the St. Margaret's. By the time we got done and was leaving, and we had called a board up company to come board the building up, she supposedly was back. We didn't see her at that point, but so she was fine apparently,
Thanks to everybody and
Yeah.
all the other departments too.
Yeah,
For
we had
responding.
5 fire companies there, 2 EMS. We had Verona, Point Breeze, Oakmont, Rosedale, and Thad Stevens, and then we had Lower Valley EMS and Plum EMS.
Mhm.
So,
Job well done. Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah,
It was
thank you.
It was a group effort. You guys
Yes.
worked well. Especially, that early in the morning, you're still a little disoriented from just getting toned out of bed,
Right.
so it worked out well.
Thank you.
Ray, is anyone leading a drive or community effort to support the family of this loss?
I understand, no, not that I know, but I understand this lady was supposedly a squatter. I personally, we didn't even get her name, because by the time we got to all that part of the fire, she was already transported. So, I didn't even get her name, so who knows where she's even at now, if she was a squatter. I don't know, but I understand through the grapevine that she might work down at McDonald's, a manager, an assistant manager or something down there. But I don't know. I don't know if anything's in the process of anybody's doing any, she lost everything. Everything inside the house was done.
Somewhere I heard the Red Cross was
We
involved.
did call the Red Cross, and
Mhm.
when I called the Red Cross, they've called me 3 or 4 times. And they met with her over at St. Margaret's. And they were putting her up for a few days. How long, they give you gift cards or whatever for so many days or whatever at a hotel, and some cards for, she didn't even have shoes. When she came out of the house, she didn't even have shoes on.
Mhm.
So, and like I said, we lost track of her once she went into the ambulance.
Mhm.
She was pretty reluctant to go into the ambulance because she was still concerned about her son naturally. But the medics talked to the doctor, and the doctor said, you got to get her in here.
Mhm.
So I had Sergeant Blake kind of tell her, along with the Oakmont officer that was there, kind of say, hey, tell her she has to go get checked. So,
Okay, well, I'm certainly really glad that nobody was majorly
nobody
injured.
was seriously injured.
Yes, so, and again, thanks. Thanks
Yep.
for your work and for
It's
everybody's,
a group effort with all the
yeah,
companies.
with
Thank
all the
you.
companies and the EMS and the police and everybody.
Yep.
Thanks. Is that it, Ray?
That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Mrs. Low Elbow. You need to turn it on, please.
Curbs electronic sign is on my agenda, but that's still being under review. We don't, Matt has submitted another rendering of the type of pedestal the sign's gonna go on, so we haven't gotten that back yet. But I'm looking forward to that sign coming, because right now it's been very hard to put any events on that sign, because the letters really do not hold up on there. I'm trying. Chris Field, I went by today, it's looking really good. The dirt is all leveled out. There was a big pile there Sunday. Lower Valley Athletic Foundation had their tournament fundraiser on Sunday, and it was nice. The pavilion was nice and shaded. They didn't have to put up any tents for the event. The contractor did get us got them 4 picnic tables, because the picnic tables that we had ordered are on back order, so that made it really nice. I mean, it's a really nice big area for future events. You know, when there are big, a lot of things going on at the park, it's gonna be lovely. I'm not sure the bathrooms are done yet as of today, but they weren't done this weekend. But like I said, it's all leveled out.
I had talked to Matt about the cameras up there, and he said that he's gonna notify the company, because I don't want the bathrooms open until we get cameras on that wall up there, for safety reasons.
For the outside.
For the outside, yeah. Yeah, because, it's facing Center Avenue, and if you're playing ball and the kids go to the bathroom, right. And he agreed, so he is going to put them on notice that we're ready to put the cameras in, on the outside, that is.
I think the field itself is looking in great shape. Public Works guys, they been keeping it mowed nicely. Even in the batting cages, they mowed that down, so they're keeping up with that, and all is looking good. So I appreciate Public Works for the good job that they're doing there as well. The trees around the park look like they're thriving even in this hot weather. So Crisfield's looking out pretty good, and that's all I have right now.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Janet. And Mrs. Provenza.
Yes, thank you, Madam President, and good evening, everyone. I'm going to start with the newsletter. Believe it or not, it's newsletter time again, and we are accepting articles which are due on Wednesday, September the 1st. Now, this is typically our holiday issue with Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. So we're going to really need these articles early. The sooner we can get them, the sooner we're going to get them to the printer. So if you'd be kind enough to please get your articles in. And this is not just including holidays. This is, of course, open to include all articles. I don't want you to think it's just articles for holiday. So if you'd please send your articles to our editor, Donald Wharf, and that's at veronanewsroom@gmail.com. That would be great, so Dawn can get the articles and get them started. And for the ads, I can be reached at 412-828-7726. Chamber of Commerce, I spoke with President Kevin Ewing this morning, and Kennywood Picnic is Wednesday, July the 14th, and tickets can be purchased at Verona News. John will have the tickets there starting tomorrow. Cost of the tickets is $30 all-day ride, and for seniors, it is $20, and that's all-day ride. There will be no public transportation going to the park. Everybody will be going on their own. Couple years now, we have just had very poor responses for public transportation. That did not work out. McKinley scholarships were awarded on the commencement, and we had 6 Verona students, outstanding students, who received the McKinley scholarships, and they are Sydney Wilson, Tanya Sheffy, Jacob Kilmeyer, Anthony Tumanella, Lauren Dugan, and Jacob Kilmeyer, Melina Brewer. And we're all very proud of these young people, and we extend warmest and very best wishes to them for a bright and successful future. And this comes from each of us here on council and our Verona Chamber of Commerce. So the very best of luck to them. Mark your calendars. Don't forget the car cruise will be Saturday, August the 14th. And that is the Chamber of Commerce news. Historical Society, a trip is being planned for July, and that's going to be to Mercer to visit all their historical points of interest. The date is yet to be announced, and if you have any questions, you're welcome to call Rhoda Wharf at 412-828-3607. Twin Burrows Ministries community dinner will actually be tomorrow evening, and it's at the Methodist Church from 4:30 to 6:30. And it will be hosted by Riverside Community Church and Verona Methodist Church. And as always, many thanks to Shirley Davis and all her helpers. You are all greatly appreciated. And I just got, when I came in this evening, notification here that there will be a summer lunch and fun camp. And that's going to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the Cribbs Field from 8:30 until noon. And that'll start on,
That's been started.
I see it already started, June 22nd. I wasn't aware of it. I just got this today, so please excuse me. There's also going to be a meal program, which also started June the 15th. And that'll go Monday through Friday from 11 to 1 p.m. And that will be located at the Verona Methodist Church, 798 Heron Avenue. If you have any questions, Shirley said to feel free to call her at 412-828-3412 or Judy at 412-828-7394. And I have a registration form here, also a waiver form, and they're going to be required for games and activities on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And the forms will be available on site, or you can contact Judy ahead of time. And students will not be permitted to stay without a completed waiver form. And this is for 1st through 6th graders. So any questions, please feel free to call Shirley or Judy. And lastly, I spoke with ALOM this morning. I always check with them to see if there's anything new that needs to be shared with you people. And I was told the Seven Springs Conference was successful. They had 325 people in attendance. And their message was, we missed you all, and we look forward to seeing you not only next year, but at one of our functions. So that was the message they left. And I thank Trish for representing us up there at Seven Springs. Thank you, Trish. And at the next meeting, I will be doing a presentation of the certificate that was received. Any questions or any comments? I'll be glad to answer them.
I have a question for Dawn. Did the newsletter come out yet?
It should be coming out any day now. I thought it would be out.
I was
maybe
hoping it would be out to the 4th because,
I know.
if I may, fireworks, even though they are legal, you have to be 150 feet away from any dwelling to set them off. And we've had a big problem last year in the borough of a lot of fireworks going off. So, and I did put that in a newsletter. That's why I'm asking. Okay. So, all right, thank you.
Yeah. A couple other things.
Dave, we did get all our paperwork into the printer way back. So we were already expecting it. So I'm sorry it's not out, but hopefully it'll be in your mailbox tomorrow. It should have been.
Hopefully.
Yes, hopefully.
Anyway, I wanted to make a clarification that when Shirley brought these forms down, just so that everybody's clear, the lunches are Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. for all kids from kindergarten to 12th grade.
Okay.
The
It was
camp
written first.
is only on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8:30 to 11, and that is for 1st through 6th graders. So just a little clarification on that. And like Sylvia said, if you have any questions, call Shirley or
Where's the
Judy.
camp going to be? Is it going to be
The camp is at Cribs.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
'Cause
and
usually they have it
there's
down
some forms. I made some copies right there. If anybody knows a kid or has a kid and wants to take a form, the information is right there.
And if I may too, those lunches are grab and goes.
Uh-huh.
We're eating them there.
Right.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah.
No, I didn't have that information, Janet. I'm sorry. I just got this when I walked in.
Right. A couple other comments. Before we go any further, I wanted to say also a big thank you to the local Lower Valley Athletic Foundation. The event that they had on Sunday was a draft football tournament, and Vince Floda and Tim Long, thank you. And I think Mike as well. Mike, I don't know what Mike Knuckles. They work very hard on these events, and the proceeds that they earn from that event go to the Parks and Rec group here for Verona. And the other thing I just wanted to remind people is that our next movie is Friday, July 9th. It's Cars, right? Oh, sorry. Independence Day for Independence Day, more of an adult movie. Yeah, Independence Day, yes. Faster, must go faster.
That is a kid.
That's a classic line. And no more oops. Anyway, Jeff Goldblum, I love him. Anyway, I just thought of that. And I don't know if you were gonna say that, Trish, but I
I was
just,
gonna mention it, Nancy. No, thank you.
okay.
That's all right.
So one of us got it.
Good.
Yeah.
Were you gonna mention the community garden meeting as well?
No, but why don't you do that?
We're planning for our next community garden public meeting on Monday, July 12th at 6:30 at the Hopeful Site 246 West Railroad.
Thank you. Any other little announcements that we want to tell the community? Who knows? We probably forgot something, but we're doing our best, folks.
What time, Trish?
6:30.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The meeting's at 6:30 and the movie is at dusk, which is pretty late right now. Yeah. Okay, anything from COG?
Yeah, we had a COG meeting last Wednesday. It was our first in-person meeting since the pandemic started. The only thing of note is that there were a few communities talking about what to do with old tennis courts. And I mentioned the pickleball courts here and how they've been a success, and several communities were very interested. Harmer in particular, as well as Springdale Borough, Springdale Township, and even Oakmont. So
Oh, good.
I got in touch with Jeff Pepper, sent him an email. He wrote back the other day. I haven't had a chance to reply, but he, I'm going to put them in touch with him. He said he'd be glad to help. And I'm going to send them the contractor info for Lutz Tennis, who did the courts here. So, and they seemed interested. I told them where it was. I said, come down to Verona, check it out. So it could just be a good model for other communities in the Allegheny Valley. So, trying to network and share those ideas. So that's all I have.
That would also be great because then they'll have somewhere else to go. We can thin the herd.
Yeah,
Go to other
I
places.
think, I think it's been so successful that if Harmer or someone up the valley had one, it might help spread it around
Yeah.
and also get more people interested. So, it's a good activity. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Now we will hear comments from the public on public-related items. Please approach the podium or raise your virtual hand and clearly state your name and address. And please limit your comments to 3 minutes as much as possible. So, who would like to go? Rhoda, go ahead.
Okay, Rhoda Wharf, 636 Third Street.
Can you turn that on, please?
Okay, here we go.
Just push the thing all the way up to the top. The button. There you go.
Rhoda Wharf, 636 Third Street, Verona. I wanted to know if the streets crew could go around the town and repaint like the stop, STOP on the street, the remedial lines that they have on the streets, because they have, tremendously faded.
Yeah,
And that would really, be
okay.
nice to give it a fresh coat.
Mhm.
Also, I'd like to thank Nancy and Dave for all the hard work. They've been holding the fort down. And I'm very appreciative. They're here all the time, and we definitely need recognition for holding the fort down since we didn't dismiss Jerry.
And Lisa here.
Yeah, and
Lisa
Lisa, of course, one of my favorites, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Rhoda. Who else?
Vince had his hand up.
Okay. Vince, you're next.
Hi, Vince Flota, 323 Penn Street. I want to thank council for all their support to LVAF, but I want to correct what you said, Nancy. The proceeds do not go directly to Verona Parks and Recreation. They go to support future Verona Park upgrades.
Okay.
But they do not get put
Right.
into the parks and the
Right.
council's Parks and Rec budget. I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay, thanks for that clarification, Vince.
Yeah, but they will be used for Verona Park upgrades only.
Right. Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thanks.
Thanks for all the support, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there some,
Go ahead, Sherry.
Hi, Sherry Kai, 759 East Railroad Avenue. I have a question, a comment, and a suggestion. I'll make this fast. Question: did the Borough of Verona pass an ordinance to sell alcohol on borough property?
I believe we did.
And when
Tonight?
was
Not
it?
tonight. No, before, a long time ago.
I just wondering if there's a date. Can we find it on your website?
No, we don't
My
have,
understanding is that before Bonnie and Booze, there was no permit, no ordinance to sell alcohol on borough property, and that was after Bonnie and Booze.
Yeah, that was there.
There was,
just an upgrade of the alcohol permit that we did for that.
okay, so that was my question. And then secondly, just a suggestion. I think it's great, thank you, Dave Matlin, for developing that form, the enclosure, and I agree with Ray, because he's a fire chief. I think there should be two forms, residential block party and a commercial usage of a commercial district are completely two different things. Your liability is different, the cost is different. So for example, at Bonnie and Booze, the transformer was burned out, and a lot of the residents and local business did not have electricity for a few hours. And that could have been avoided if this form was available. That's why the residential and the commercial should be complete separate, different form. And also, and discussing on the grants, I think I want to talk about the Verona Variety Store. It's owned by a Chinese immigrant. They pay a lot of money for that building, $720,000. And they help to boost the property value in the commercial district. However, they've been here for 2 years. They really have not been treated in the very most welcoming way. I talked to the chief and the mayor. They have, that parking lot is private, and they finally put a towing company in charge. So whoever illegally parked in their parking lot will be towed. They will be here next meeting. They're requesting for some kind of allowance for people to access that parking lot, their customers from ARB. And they put that request in before, they say it wasn't granted. And also, that's a great store. They brought a lot of things in from New York City, and they sell it at a very reasonable price for this community. And I just hope our newsletter can feature them at some point. So I will submit the article. I have pictures of them. And even though their for sale sign is up, their business has been picking up. So as long as the business is picking up, and I think in this type of political environment today, having minority women-owned business in the community can absolutely help the community, especially if you want to get a government grant. So that's my comment.
Thank you, Sherry.
thank you.
Okay. think Vince take his hand down.
Kim Roller was trying to raise her hand. I think she's next.
Okay.
You there, Kim?
Yep,
Go
I'm sorry, I have an old version of Zoom, so it's not letting me do it. So I have a couple things I wanted to talk about. Kim Roller, 853 First Street. Number one, I want to clarify something about Botany and Booze that I've heard a couple times over the past 2 meetings, because I was one of the organizers on that event with the Verona Garden Club. We are aware that something went down in the electricity. However, there was only one item that was plugged in and we got approval to do that. And that was, again, approved. There were not multiple vendors. We did not have an excessive amount of electricity. It is no more amount of electricity than goes on for the farmer's market. And just to kind of clarify a couple things, I know in the last meeting that it was talked about, people didn't know about events and people weren't sure about events. I would like to clarify that for Botany and Booze specifically, we started planning and getting approval from council for that event starting on February 23rd. And then I have a list of about 10, 15 different dates of when we advertised it. We had over 76 shares on Facebook that did not include individual shares or postings on personal pages. We had 1,604 people interested in attending the event, as well as getting borough approval on all of these things. And additionally, on April 27th, our event was featured on the council agenda, which was then posted on the borough website, shared on various borough social media pages. And I would actually like to note that that meeting was actually where Inner Groove presented and received approval to shut down the street for their block party. However, their initial request was only to shut down the very beginning portion of the street in front of their business. And it was actually suggested by council to block off the entire street. So I heard a lot about that last week, and I'm sorry I was not able to attend and clarify some of that information for everybody. As well as the reason behind closing down the street on Botany and Booze was discussed with council due to safety, so that everybody was safe and could ensure that there were no accidents or issues on Allegheny River Boulevard. I would also like to mention that there are 52 weeks in a year, and those are only 2 days in which those that street was closed. And I feel that it is slightly unfair for everybody to continuously, speak about the 2 events that was closed for, again, 2 days out of 52 weeks of the year. Additionally, I had a separate question regarding the council's code enforcement in regards to the curfew that exists. I have heard from multiple people that we are no longer enforcing curfew. And I wanted to kind of understand what the council plan for the curfew is. Right now it says that the curfew is 10 p.m. And that there's only so many versions of, you can get spoke to at this point, and then some action occurs. I've actually heard through the grapevine that people were told that the curfew is actually 11 o'clock on certain nights, and that they have been instructed by, I believe, the chief or council, I'm not sure who, that we are no longer enforcing curfew. And I wanted a couple answers on that. Thank you very much.
As far as the curfew goes, they should be still enforcing that. It was never eliminated from this board. In the past, the only thing that was eliminated was the siren going off at 9:45.
Mhm.
But it still should be enacted, and I will speak to the chief tomorrow on that.
Thank you very much. One of the explanations that I'd heard was that they couldn't prove what time it was to the people who were out past curfew. So I really appreciate you looking into it, Mayor Dave.
It is 10 o'clock. The whistle used to go off at 9:45, 9:45 to give the kids the time to go home. There are exceptions made if school kids are coming home, from a dance or a play or whatever. you know, and that, you know, there's special exceptions on that, thank you. You know, to do that, you know, if it's quarter after and they see, you know, 4 or 5 kids, and if they say, hey, we're coming over from a basketball game, which has happened in the past, or we're coming home from a movie at the Oaks Theater, because they, you know, do play different type of movies now. But, you know, it's an exception that, you know, it's the discretion of the officer, and we've never really had any problems with that. But I will look into that.
Okay, well, that was my understanding as well, Mayor, that we just, well, it was before my time, I think,
Right.
to stop the whistle because it's very loud in certain areas, and
Right.
but to still enforce the curfew, and you know, young kids should go home by 10. Maybe
And
it-
I've heard multiple occasions that it is actually 11 PM on the weekends, which I do not see in our code. So I would just like some clarification with council and the chief to understand what the actual curfew is. And you know, what the intention is, because I know there's been some break-ins and things like that in the borough, and I think it would be for the safety of everybody to figure that out.
well, we can review that at the ordinance meeting, whenever,
It's 10 o'clock.
sometime,
It's, yeah, it's 10 o'clock.
across the board.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, it's never been 11,
okay.
never.
Anybody else have their hand up? Can you see?
I don't see any other comments on Zoom or in
Uh,
person.
Madam President, I have just a real quick comment,
Sure.
which I forgot about. I've had a number of seniors call me. They're not able to cut their grass and they don't want to be cited. So I have a comment for Mike Forbeck. Mike, you're still involved with the Scouts by any chance?
Actually, no, that troop is no longer.
Disbanded.
Is
Yeah,
it disbanded?
Yes. But there's a
Okay,
troop
because
in
they
Oakland.
asked if I would ask you if there's any scouts that would be willing to,
I actually know some people
volunteer
who
and
probably
help.
would do that.
Pardon me?
I know some people who actually will do that. They'll volunteer to help cut grass.
oh, good. Okay, maybe you can touch base with me on that, please. 'Cause these people want to have a neat, tidy yard. They're just not physically able to do it. And they said, well, is Mike still with the Scouts? And I said, I think, I'm not sure though, I'll ask. So, yeah, if you can touch base with me on it, that would be great. Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's no other comments from the public, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, first by Mrs. Provenza, second by Mr. Suchovich. Any questions or concerns? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And, oh, I'm sorry, we're going to adjourn to exec session,
Oh,
short exec session. And we do
Don't
not have to come back. No. Thank you, everybody. So can you do a speaker view to make it so it's just who's